Drake Maye, Kenneth Walker, Sam Darnold, Will Campbell, Mike Macdonald, Bad Bunny, Kid Rock. None of them matter compared to the most relevant figure at Super Bowl 60. The plot twist? This guy wasn't even there. Plus, what can we learn if we're the Houston Texans from the big game last night? And are we going to be honest about something that went down in our backyard over the last couple of days? I'm Paul Gallant, and this is the Gallant Says podcast for Monday, February 9th, 2026. Hit it!
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people wonder.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to see.
Grow up, mother. Are you kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Oi! We are live on YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like and subscribe. We are live on Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a follow, but I'd appreciate a sub. X, Twitter, at Gallant Says Pod. Like and follow if you like me. Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. Like and follow on that. Instagram. Is it up on Instagram? I'm not so sure it's up on Instagram, but we're normally up on Instagram at Sports Gallant. It's on TikTok at Gallant Says. Like and follow there as well. It's available after the fact in podcast form. So subscribe and 5-star me. Look for the Gallant Says podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. So, my beloved New England Patriots lost to a team I used to cover, the Seattle Seahawks, 29-13 in the Super Bowl. I had a long-ass playoff beard for it, hockey style. That is gone. I had a mullet growing out my hair for said playoff run. That is also gone. The season's done, and now we've got a long off season ahead of us where I've got to figure out what the hell I'm going to talk about. But it was an ass-kicking. The Seahawks defense was fantastic in this one. And Kenneth Walker, the MVP of the game, who's going to get paid this offseason, had the best game maybe of his career against what was the best run defense in the NFL all playoffs long. So what was this game about? What was it about? Many people are asking a variety of different questions about who this game was really about. The Super Bowl was not about Drake Maye. I saw Greg Todd commenting that Drake Maye is a fraud. He looked like one in this game. He was rattled. There's no arguing here. He looked like in this game a rich man's CJ Stroud. And I know that's going to bother some of you when you hear that. But yeah, he looked like a less rattled version of CJ Stroud. The Super Bowl was not about Sam Darnold. 0 turnovers, all playoffs, by the way. The entire game, anyone who was watching me watch the game noticed that I kept on saying, I want you to do it, I want you to do it, I want you to do it, like I was the Joker in The Dark Knight. Because I wanted Sam Darnold to turn the football over. I kept on telling that to myself all game long. Just give me one, Sam. Just one. And you know what? Sam Darnold deserves a lot of credit for not turning the football over once, all playoffs long, and not turning the football over in that game. There were a couple of near misses, that's for sure. But Darnold kept the sheet clean all playoffs long. That's why the Seahawks have a Super Bowl. I'm happy for Sam Darnold, even though I'm bummed that the Patriots lost the Super Bowl, because it must absolutely suck to get crushed for every single bad moment on the internet under the sun, from having mono to seeing ghosts to just being a part of the New York Jets, getting kicked to the curb for 9 in Minnesota. And he's standing at the top of the mountain with the Lombardi Trophy in his hand. But this Super Bowl was not about him. The Super Bowl was not about Patriots rookie left tackle Will Campbell, who was, oh boy, bad. He was really bad. He was really, really bad. I think Underdog put out the statistic about how he looked in this game. Caramba. Will Campbell allowed the most pressures, 14 in a playoff game since 2018. It's the most ever, 29 pressures that he's allowed in a single postseason. I think he's banged up, but he stunk. He didn't talk to the media afterwards. But the Super Bowl's not about him either. Who's it about? We'll get there. The Super Bowl was not about Seahawks head coach Mike Macdonald, a Super Bowl champion coach in just his second season as head coach of the Seahawks. I did not see that coming. I thought a lot of Seahawks fans were a little bit too nonchalant about moving on from Pete Carroll, like things were going to be better with him in the rearview mirror. But they hired a guy who has a better defense. That's Pete Carroll's specialty. And who found a guy offensively who made things work with Sam Darnold. On top of that, John Schneider, I think, might be the best roster constructor in the NFL, and I feel like he has always been ahead of the curve when it comes to finding quarterbacks that not anybody wants, whether it was Russell Wilson or Geno Smith, et cetera, et cetera. Third youngest to win a Super Bowl as a head coach at age 38, and that makes me really depressed because I'm turning 37 in a couple of months, and I'm unemployed, although I do get to fill on Sports Radio 610 from time to time. The Super Bowl was not about Mike Vrabel, the Patriots head coach. I hated the Patriots' offensive strategy in this game. They might have ripped off a Seahawks saying from a couple of years ago, we're all we got. We all we need. If that's your rallying cry and your quarterback, I don't know, has a bum shoulder, which he was on the injury report for having leading up to the Super Bowl, maybe you get in your offensive coordinator's ear, who you might not be the biggest fan of, Josh McDaniels. That was an arranged marriage forced by the Crafts on Mike Vrabel. McDaniels did a very good job this year, but I do wonder about the long-term relationship between those two. If I'm Vrabel, I'm telling them to run the football a little bit more, even if I don't expect it to get that much. 13 carries by running backs versus 43 passes and 6 sacks. And how many carries did Drake Maye have in this game? 5, 6 or so? I mean, they went super pass heavy. And yeah, the game did get out of hand, but it was a manageable deficit until at least the early fourth quarter. But the Super Bowl's not about Mike Vrabel. Who's the Super Bowl about, Paul? It's not about Stephon Diggs, Texans legend. Did anyone see this, hear about this? Stephon Diggs, Cardi B. The relationship that seemed to be the bedrock of American values, no more. Apparently, Stephon Diggs may or may not have invited the mother of one of his other children to the game. And Cardi B had thrown a $1.2 million Super Bowl party at the game and was at the halftime show, was on stage with a bunch of other famous folks in the midst of Bad Bunny's halftime show. They have broken up. They are not following each other on Instagram. Somebody actually wrote an article about that on TMZ. Wow. Hate to be that person. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and that's what you're focusing on. Let's see. Do these people still follow each other anymore? Maybe this will give me the insight that I'm surely not going to get through journalism skills. I went to journalism school for this, to see who's following one another on Instagram. The Super Bowl was not about the halftime show. It was not about Bad Bunny. Paul, what are your thoughts on Bad Bunny? I've enjoyed listening to him while drunk. I've never had a clue what he's saying, no matter how much I try, how hard I try on Duolingo. I still can't roll my R's, and the girlfriend makes fun of me whenever she catches me doing Duolingo. Donde está la puerto? I guess it does sound a little bit hick when I say it like that. But I've never had an idea of one word that's coming out of Bad Bunny's mouth. But the beats are sick. Reggaeton, baby. I got really excited because for a moment it sounded like they were going to play Gasolina by Daddy Yankee. For those who haven't had a Gasolina, I've been to Puerto Rico twice. It's basically if Four Loko was Capri Sun. It's very powerful. Going to give you a terrible hangover. Lots of sugar in those things. Apparently, Latinos don't know what Bad Bunny's saying either. But in case you can't speak Spanish like me, even though you try your darndest, did anyone see some of the lyrics for Bad Bunny songs that were going viral from some of the most conservative people on the internet during this game? I'm going to read some of the lyrics. This was put out there by Megan Basham. Now, they had a more PG version of this in Spanish, but the twist says, the translation says of some of his lyrics, real G, guiding the new generations with the OG one. Galactic style lust, yes, so that your panties get wet, get horny and versatile, more slutty than Betty Boop. The one who got horny, mommy, was you. I stay killing with the U. Pussy with dick, dick with ass. Push it in, pussy, pussy with dick, dick with ass. Yes, push it. Pussy with dick, dick with ass. Your tits rubbing my nipples. This year I don't want sluts. They see you with a lot of jewels and they want to stay. Push it in. They see you really active and they want to stay. Push it in. Because you look hot. Because you look hot. Really big tits like Lourdes Shake On. Really big ass like Irish Shake On. I don't know why. I haven't seen the pussy. But let's go back to fuck your panties. Wait. Let's go to bed to fuck you in panties. These are lyrics. More. Mommy, what do you want? Your shark has arrived. I want to grind on you and smoke a blunt to see what is hidden in your pants. I want to grind on you and grind on you and grind on you hard, hard. I want to grind on you and smoke a blunt. I want to grind on you and grind on you, grind. I want to grind on you and smoke a blunt. The ecstasy is already kicking in. The girl bounced while dancing. That ass deserves it all, deserves it all, deserves it all, yes. That ass deserves it all, deserves it all, deserves it all. A. So there you go. That's some of the lyrics from the Bad Bunny song. Some more. My dick is being chased and I want you to hide it. Grab it like a bonga. She took a pill that made her horny. She fucks in the Audi, not in the Honda. Hey, if I give it to you, don't call me. Cause this is not to make you love me. Hey, if your boyfriend doesn't eat your ass, he better fuck off. Okay. So again, these are the lyrics to the song. In Spanish, it sounds less vulgar. It must be fun to be Spanish, to speak Spanish. You can just slip these ones by us. Meanwhile, the FCC won't let be me. Let me be me, right? Is that what Eminem said that one time? Sure. Paul, you sound really white right now. Yes. That's just who I am. Side comment, because obviously there's been a lot of takes, I'd imagine, on Bad Bunny's halftime performance today. It's lame that we're now at a point where political opinions are reason to like or dislike music, right? I bet there's a lot of people who pretended to like Bad Bunny during yesterday's shows in the same way that a lot of people pretended to like Kendrick Lamar last year. Personally, I like Bad Bunny. I think Kendrick Lamar, whatever. But he's a lyrical genius. Yeah, but his voice is fucking annoying. And it takes one to know someone with an annoying voice. Like, I'm being self-aware enough here. Some people find my voice to be nasally. But, I don't know, like Kendrick Lamar. Bing, bak, boom, bak, boom, bak, bam. That's like a toast. That's the kind of toast that I like with my jam. Or whatever the fuck he said, you know? So I think he's better than Kendrick Lamar. The WAPO had an interesting post about and we'll get to the real star of Super Bowl 60. The Washington Post gave it to us. But the Washington Post wrote an article about Bad Bunny's performance. Analysis. In general, Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show had the kind of wholesome, traditional family values that would have fit in right with some of the more sentimental commercials that appeared during the game. I mean, my God, guys, you don't have to pander this hard. You're the media. Everyone thinks you're dorks. No one cares what you think about music. But this is family friendly. I don't know. I don't know how much they PG-ified whatever those lyrics were that I read, but yikes. The Super Bowl was not about Kid Rock, because Kid Rock and Turning Point had their own little sideshow. I did not watch it. If you watched it, great. I'll say this about Kid Rock. I find him to be an amusing character, but I don't know that I enjoy his music at all. You know, I feel like it's fun to enjoy as a bit. My name is Kid Rock. And he had that one song, I think it was like in a beer commercial back in the day. Somebody's gotta feel this. Somebody's got to feel it. Like, I don't know. I don't know, man. But anyway, more from the Super Bowl. Began with the Turning Point halftime show with Kid Rock saying, "This one's for you, Charlie. This one's for you." All right. I think they're referring to Charlie Kirk there. I don't know. Get something better than Kid Rock if you really want to give a dead man the best possible send-off. But a lot of people watched it. There was a Brantley Gilbert. There was a Gabby Barrett. These people sound like NPC country artists. Lee Bryce had a song. Again, another, I don't know who that is. It ain't easy being country in this country nowadays. Excuse me, Lee. There's a lot of fucking country music now, right? I feel like we've kind of gone too far with the acceptance of country to the point where I even like it now. I used to hate it by default. It used to be, to me, like a reflection of the Confederacy. I was like, yeah, you guys lost. Can we stop? Stars and bars. Like, come on. You lost. You lost the war that you got forced into fighting. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, you were like, yeah, states' rights to slavery. You know. But yeah, some people were watching that. I saw, my favorite social media personality these days. What's her face? The Steelers chick, Amanda C. Vance. Anyone see this? As she posted a video of herself watching. This is awesome. Hang on a second. I got to get the. I closed this window out, so I have to reopen it. Paul, stop talking about like all the things that you had to do to make this thing go and happen. Fine, I'll stop talking about it. But first, I need to just have the video ready to go. So here you go. All-time video with this Amanda Vance chick where she's watching the Turning Point halftime show from the rafters of the Super Bowl and dancing to it. She had someone record her doing this. She couldn't get better seats than this. This is truly like the back line. She's got her headphones in. Not even AirPods. Anyway, whatever. Kind of cringe. No, just a little bit. But the Super Bowl is not about Kid Rock. It's not about Bad Bunny. It's not about Mike Vrabel or Mike Macdonald or Will Campbell or Sam Darnold or Drake Maye. The Super Bowl, per one of the most important institutions in the United States of America, was actually about someone else. Someone who wasn't even in the game. I'm going to dramatically read from an article that tells us who the most important and relevant figure in Super Bowl 60 was. The most relevant figure to Super Bowl 60 is absent from it. The game will be played in his former home stadium, in the place where his protest made him a national lightning rod and a global symbol. The social issues swirling around America's largest sporting spectacle carry distinct echoes of what prompted his actions and led to his exile. And yet, he remains outside the conversation and invisible within the confines of the National Football League. Colin Kaepernick might as well be a ghost. This is an article that the Washington Post actually put together. I'm not shitting you. This was a real Washington Post article. They wrote a Washington Post article about how the most relevant figure to Super Bowl 60 is Colin Kaepernick. I respect the boldness. Mass layoffs across your company. And you're going to double down and go the route that Ryan Clark didn't even go. Emmanuel Acho didn't even go. Cam Newton didn't go. No, this, chef's kiss. Skip Bayless would be proud of this. they made this article, which features a lot of interviews with the exact kind of people that you expect the Washington Post to do interviews with. And it's all about a guy who's been out of the league for 10 years. I mean, the 49ers have been to 2 Super Bowls with 2 different quarterbacks since Colin Kaepernick was gone. They made it with Jimmy Garoppolo. They made it with Brock Purdy. And yet, this article about a Super Bowl featuring the New England Patriots, who Colin Kaepernick never played for, and the Seattle Seahawks, who Colin Kaepernick never played for. This Washington Post article had the balls to say the most relevant figure to Super Bowl 60 is Colin Kaepernick. I read this article. Surprisingly, it was not hidden by a paywall. And if you read this article, you will see that the Washington Post does what the Washington Post normally does. They bitch and moan about all these layoffs that have come to them. What the Washington Post regularly does is, like a lot of other prestige newspapers, is when they write an article about something that the writer doesn't have the stones to have an opinion about, they are going to ask academics from random colleges across the United States of America about what they think. Instead of, I don't know, thinking for themselves, they must have the credibility of some random fucking professor at schools all over the country. This article about Colin Kaepernick, which just regurgitates a lot of the things that you already knew about his protest, interviewed people like Executive Director of Virginia Commonwealth University's Brand Center, Van Graves, who said this: "The problems he knelt against haven't improved. They've metastasized." All right. Yeah, using big words, showing off that big academia brain. Another person that was interviewed, Villanova sociology professor Glenn Bracey. His exclusion from the league created a chilling effect on players. Did it? I don't know. I feel like a lot of players are pretty outspoken across sports, maybe not as much in the National Football League as they are in basketball, where it feels like you're getting preached to with an air of moral superiority by coaches and players alike. Another rando academic that this Washington Post article, which argued that Colin Kaepernick is the most relevant figure to Super Bowl 60, was this: Michigan State professor Christina Myers. "Kaepernick's protest permanently changed the boundaries of what the league will tolerate," said Myers. "Kaepernick forced the NFL and the country overall, really, to confront police violence and racial injustices on football's stage. And in doing so, Kaepernick exposed how tightly the league links patriotism, profit, and control. His protest made racial injustice impossible to ignore, but it also triggered a backlash so severe that it's functioned as a warning. The league officially absorbed his language, slogans like inspire change, while rejecting his message and himself. That co-optation is part of his legacy. Activism, rebranded as corporate messaging, stripped of disruption. We are seeing these elements as it relates to the players." Oh, yeah. I mean, what an article. Colin Kaepernick is the most relevant figure from Super Bowl 60. That's what the Washington Post wants you to know. Another random academic, Aisha Bell Hardaway, the director of Case Western Reserve University's Social Justice Institute. That title really rolls off the tongue. "The silence there is very, very loud from athletes both in and outside of Minneapolis. That, too, is Colin's legacy. The impact of him paying that consequence. We should all wonder if that he had to endure has made others feel as if they cannot speak out and therefore not speak out. The uncomfortable truth is that Kaepernick's impact on the NFL was ultimately contained. The protest was absorbed, metabolized, and excreted as corporate social responsibility. Wow. Well, again, I want to give the Washington Post a hearty congratulations for finding a zag to the Super Bowl and bringing it back to something that stopped mattering about 5 years ago, probably. The article, by the way, answered its own question after all of those interviews with random academics by citing a quote from an academic from 5 to 6 years ago. Paragraphs before getting to what we all know. We forget about shit. Stuff stops mattering after 5, 6 years. Stuff stops mattering after 2 weeks. We move on very quickly these days. Did they need to write this article at all? No. Did they need to write this article and interview all of these blowhard-sounding academics to get to the obvious point that anyone could have made without having to read this entire thing by saying, we just forget stuff and move on? But it took a 2020 quote from University of California at Berkeley sociology professor Harry Edwards to get us there. One of the things that is clear in all such movements, they come with an expiration date on them. And it's 6 years. In 6 years, it's over. This thing with Kaepernick has run out of time. Wow, thank you for that article. I appreciate the zag. It is one that would work very well on a theoretical show like Speak for Your Pizza. But what's crazy to me is the Washington Post just had massive amounts of layoffs. The sports department in particular really got taken out back and shot in the head. And we saw all sorts of media types who fancy themselves academics wondering how we can let an institution like the Washington Post die. And as people are allowed wondering this and complaining about democracy dying and not saying a fucking thing about Miami Beach's police department going to the home of a private citizen over a very tame Facebook comment, they're mad about this. And then the Washington Post honestly flicks off all of these people defending it by writing this absolute steaming load of dog shit. Someone in the Washington Post who is still employed greenlit the idea of, hey, let's give this as a ridiculous lead to an article that will definitely get engagement, the bad kind, even if it doesn't get people to read it. Again, quote, the most relevant figure to Super Bowl 60 is absent from it. The game will be played in his former home stadium in the place where his protest made him a national lightning rod and a global symbol. The social issues swirling around America's largest spectacle carry distinct echoes of what prompted his actions and what led to his exile. And yet he remains outside the conversation and invisible within the confines of the NFL. Colin Kaepernick might as well be a ghost. There are people employed who greenlit that. And that pisses me off as somebody who wants to get back in the game but is realizing that the game has maybe changed to a point where I have to fall in line and talk about, oh, what happened in the game last night? Was it the offense who won? Was it the defense who won? No, I got to sit to the side while some fuck writes this dog shit article, has it greenlit by people that are editors, etc., etc. And I really just want to know what the point of this was other than to rage bait. And if that is what the Washington Post is doing or the New York Times is doing, all of these institutions, Marilyn Mansoning themselves, acting as if what they're doing is so noble and so needed for everybody in the world. If this is the best they can do, then we should let these fuckers die. They're trying to guilt trip you into paying $20 a month for the Houston Chronicle. Are you fucking kidding me? That's insane. And that's the Houston Chronicle, which, no offense, doesn't have the top name writers that it used to have because things have changed so much. But they want you to continue to invest in newspapers and to be a subscriber and to get behind these paywalls about the racist history of birds and other ridiculous fucking shit that they write. That's what they want from you. And then they put this article out and wonder why no one fucking cares about them in the same way that no one cares about Colin Kaepernick anymore. Wild. So there you go, Paul. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's why you're unemployed, because that's the kind of route that you got to go. So we hope that you enjoyed this Super Bowl 60 breakdown. Speaking of Super Bowl 60, how do the Houston Texans get to Super Bowl 61? That's a very interesting question. A very interesting question. How do they do that? How do the Houston Texans in particular do that? I think it's this. The Houston Texans need a real running attack to complement that defense of theirs, and to take the burden off of their, per me, henna tattoo stamped quarterback who was a game manager. Eventually that could wear off, but right now the Texans are telling us, with everything that they have done this offseason, no changes at offensive coordinator, no changes at quarterback coach, they are telling us that they think that he just needs to play better. How does one play better? Maybe you get better support from your running game. Did you know that the Texans have had, at best, an inefficient rushing attack in every single season for basically the last 15 years? I went back through it because I figured, okay, the Texans are going to try to make their running game better this offseason. And by the way, from last year to this year, considering there was no Joe Mixon, their running game did improve, at least statistically. But the numbers for the Texans rushing attack over all of this time are depressing. Let's just roll through it. This past year, the Texans were 22nd in total rushing yards. They were 28th in yards per attempt. Not good. 2024, 15th in total yards, 15th in yards per attempt. Honestly, that seems high, and it speaks very highly about what Joe Mixon brought to the table that season, because that offensive line was not helping Mixon out a whole lot. 2023, 13th in yards, but 28th in yards per attempt. Jesus. It sounds like Bill O'Brien numbers. 2022, bad year. 31st in yards, 31st in yards per attempt. 2021, dead last in yards per attempt. 2020, 31st in yards, 18th in yards per attempt. How did that happen? 2019, 9th in yards, 10th in yards per attempt. That's actually pretty good. Over the last 15 years, that's the only time, outside of the one that we're eventually going to get to, that the Texans finished top 10 in running the ball. And by the way, that team had a lead on the Kansas City Chiefs in the second round of the playoffs, for what it's worth. 2018, 8th in rushing yards, 19th in yards per attempt. That was the Bill O'Brien frustration, right? Like, he's running the ball for the sake of running the ball like it's a battering ram. It's not really doing anything for us, is it? You've got the next season. 2017, 14th in yards, 16th in yards per attempt. 2016, 8th in yards, 18th in yards per attempt. 2015, 15th in yards, 28th in yards per attempt. 2014, 5th in yards. Whoa, that's pretty impressive. 22nd in yards per attempt. How the fuck did that happen? Again, the Bill O'Brien experience. 2013, the year everything fell apart. 21st in yards, 16th in yards per attempt. 2012, 8th in yards, 15th in yards per attempt. 2011, despite everything that happened to Matt Schaub, the best Texans offensive line in team history, plus Arian Foster, Ben Tate, had the Texans second in total rushing yards and 7th in yards per attempt. Whoa! That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So when you see that, you realize that the Texans got to get back to that somehow. And that they've been unable to do that for 15 years, despite two quarterbacks that were better than Matt Schaub was. I think Stroud, his rookie season, was better than Schaub ever was. No offense to Schaub. Schaub had some really good years in 08 and 09, statistically at the very least. Deshaun Watson had his time as well. You haven't had a good rushing attack with a good quarterback ever. You've had a good quarterback with a third string. You've had a good rushing attack with a third string quarterback. That was all the way back in 2011. Yeesh. Second in yards, 7th in yards per attempt. That's what you've been. So this offseason, you got to invest in the offensive line, and it can't be just ex-Patriots, and you've got to invest in that rushing attack. Does that mean drafting somebody in the second round at running back like Kenneth Walker? Who, by the way, I mean, what a great time to be a Super Bowl MVP and have your awesome performance that you had against the Patriots after looking good in the NFC Championship game against the Rams and also looking good against the San Francisco 49ers. He's a free agent. I wonder, though, if the Seahawks are going to overpay him, given what he just did. Does he go the Larry Brown route? Larry Brown had that big game with the Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl 30. Had a big extension, I think, the next offseason with the Raiders. And I don't think he ever lived up to standard. I think you also had like Desmond Howard kind of getting the same deal, also from the Raiders, I think, after the next Super Bowl. The Texans need to have a better rushing attack next season. It's pretty wild that it's been as bad as it's been for 15 years. This is how you complement a defense that's great. This is how you overcome a quarterback who at times looks lost, because Sam Darnold struggled in this game last night. He did. There were some moments where you're like, oh boy, he's got to screw up at some point, right? And he avoided near disaster enough times for the Seahawks to get the win. No turnovers. He came close a couple of times, but you need a running game that can complement him. And if the Seahawks did not have the ability to run the football with Kenneth Walker, if he didn't have those two big 30-yard runs where the Patriots probably realized, shit, we got to put an extra safety up in the box to manage things here. If they had that, maybe, just maybe, we're talking about a Texans team that would have advanced a little bit further. Some comments here. Marley Vibes says on TikTok, if we had Watson this year, we win the Super Bowl. Love Stroud, but it's the facts. Well, that version of Deshaun Watson, I think you got to clarify. Marley also asks Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker. Walker, for sure. But I wonder if the Texans are going to roll the dice and say, well, Joe Mixon might be back with his undisclosed injury that none of us have any extra information about. You know? We'll see, though. We shall see. You got to have something that works. Running the football worked for the Seahawks throughout these playoffs, even though it didn't work for much of the regular season. That's why they're the Super Bowl champs. Obviously, their defense was great, too. If you think that defense is capable of making Drake Maye look like that again, or making Joe Burrow look like that, or Patrick Mahomes look like that, and by the way, it did make Mahomes look like that, or Josh Allen look like that, and by the way, it made Josh Allen look like that, or I guess maybe Bo Nix like that, and to a lesser degree, they made Bo Nix look like that. If you think that that defense can get you all the way through the playoffs, you need to give them a running game that can actually complement CJ Stroud. You did not have that last year. You did not have that the year before, and you did not have that the year before. You've had one of the most inefficient rushing attacks in the National Football League for the last couple of years. So hopefully, things will get a little bit better on that front, you know? That would be nice. Let's keep rolling. What? Rolling. Come on. Rolling. Rolling. Now, I know y'all be loving this shit right here. LIMP. Biscuit is right here. People in the house, put your hands in the air, because if you don't care, then we don't care. That's Limp Bizkit, everybody. Anyone see this? Anyone hear about this? It was a busy day this past Friday in Houston. For the second time in a little over a month, we saw a bunch of Houston students leaving class, skipping, and they were doing it to protest ICE. There's an article about it in the Houston Chronicle. Hundreds of Houston area students protest ICE despite threats from the TEA and Greg Abbott. There were some TV reports as well about it, in case you missed them. This is what they showed on Channel 2, which is KPRC. It's loading. Slowly loading. Let's get this up. It's a TV package on TV. Hey, what were these kids doing? What were they doing?
With the recent shootings involving ICE agents.
Well, we're a school full of immigrants. Everywhere is full of immigrants. People's dads are getting deported. People's families, it's not fair.
innocent people that are waiting on their court dates to get their citizenship. You shouldn't take them out.
So of all those kids you talk, that might be the only kid who had a chance of perhaps giving nuanced takes on what he's protesting. Just one. And more than anything, not to be an asshole, but I want to see what those kids also said that weren't good enough to make it onto Channel 2. We got some more takes here. This kid's got an impressive bowl cut. Are bowl cuts back? I want to know. Are bowl cuts back?
Being human isn't criminal. Being a human should not be something that you should be worried about. Walking around being brown isn't anything anybody should be worried about.
At Westville High School in spring, students also left class holding signs that read, "Immigrants don't shoot up schools," and "I like ice on my wrists, not my street." We also
Damn, that was hard. That's a hard line.
saw similar
Go to Spencer's, get some ice for your kid.
protests at Thurgood Marshall High School in Fort Bend County and at Dawson High School in Pearland. In A-Leaf, hundreds of students walked out of Elsick High School.
We're speaking up for the people who can't. So, it's our right. Nobody can tell us nothing. So,
If anything, it's against our First Amendment. That's all we gotta say.
Some waved Mexican flags as district police and HPD patrolled nearby to keep things safe.
We're a school full of immigrants. Everywhere is full of immigrants. Immigrants make America great.
Okay, so she repeated the same line twice. Okay, look. I'm not going to make fun of the kids. They're kids. Go out and protest. Use your First Amendment right. But did anyone see the weather on Friday? And am I supposed to believe that all these kids were protesting? Did anyone see the weather? 71 degrees. No cloud cover, no humidity, and breezy. Friday was a beautiful day. They had a walkout on January 20th, and they had another walkout 2 weeks later. Am I supposed to believe that this was all about the protests? And I respect these kids using this potentially as an excuse to get out of school and play a little hooky. Good for them. Seriously. And I just want the B-roll of the interviews that they got, Channel 2 and didn't air. I think Fox 26 also had a video posting like all these kids that were walking down the street. Seems like they was really creating more traffic than enlightening the public on
multiple high schools.
Enlightening the public on, why what they're saying matters.
Across our area are walking out in protest of President Trump's immigration crackdown. Angie Rodriguez is live in A-Leaf ISD with the latest there.
Yeah, Delon, we're off of Sanat Road, and I want you guys to take a look right here. This is just the sheer amount of traffic that we've seen as a result of these protests, this walkout that happened earlier with both of the high schools here at A-Leaf Independent School District. This is just the amount of students. You'll see them actually on the far right side at the front of those apartments. You can see a group of students walking out.
And they're just running through the middle of the street. And I mean, I don't know if this is a school zone and all that, but the funny thing, it feels like every single protester defaults to, I'm going to impede traffic. And no matter how you feel about what's going on in our country, wouldn't you be more likely to be pissed off that your drive has been further inconvenienced than to perhaps have an epiphany? Oh, they've got some great takes, these kids, on what's going on. What's more likely? Let's just be honest. Especially when you can see what you would have seen when you were 16, 17, or 18 years old. That the weather is 71 degrees with no cloud cover, there's no humidity, it's breezy, and it's a fucking Friday. If you had the ability to get out of school, aren't you going to take it? Yeah, I'm protesting. But of course, they're making traffic a little shitty in this neighborhood.
It seems like a lot of them have made their way all the way down. It's about a 2-mile walk from the high school. We do know a lot of them have been making their way down Senat Road and making their way back as well. So we do know this amount of traffic has actually come about because of the students that have walked out and taken their cars, as well as those that have walked out, parents as well, making their way around. We actually saw Alief ISD police as well making their way and helping maneuver some of the traffic at the stoplights here at the intersection of Bel Air and Senat Road. So we've seen a lot of activity over here. You'll see one of them actually flashing their lights right there in that black SUV. But yeah, a lot of students making their way down here. It looks like they're on their way back. We saw them, like I said, making their way down Senat Road, so it looks like they're making their way back towards the high school. The route itself wasn't exactly planned out, so it looks like the students are just making their way around this area. We were able to speak with some of them earlier as well, and we'll bring that to you when we continue to bring you more of these protests on Fox Local. But for now, we're going to send it back to you in the studio.
This poor girl and the editor, producer, take you behind the kimono. They're going to have to go and sift through all of the students that they saw, and they're going to have to find the ones that make the students look the best. And, I mean, we're talking about teenagers here. So I would imagine there was a lot of dumb shit said. How many 6'7s do you think that poor Angie has to sift through before she could even theoretically get one semi-coherent thought to make this protest look the best it possibly can? Because local news, you're not going out there trying to make these kids look bad like you might if you were any of the political-leaning news institutions, right? Fox News is going to find the dumb ones. MSNBC is going to find the smart ones. And if they go to a protest where it's pro-right, both sides are going to go the opposite way. Like, we all know how this works. But this poor girl's got to sift through all of these, I'm assuming, largely dipshit takes. But hey, you get to get out early on a Friday. You get to take a video and post on your Instagram or TikTok or whatever that I was out doing something. No, you were enjoying the weather. Let's be honest. They're not going to be honest, but let's be honest. The Cron posted a video as well.
We are the next.
Not to be confused with the...
Did you call us the white devil?
I said that's why the white man is the devil.
So I'm a white man.
What's going on? This is the wrong video. I guess YouTube Shorts will just take you to the next one if you scroll down even a little bit. Here you go.
We are the next generation. As soon as we get out of high school, we are going to be the ones voting. And it is very important to stay informed and to stay included in these movements.
We are the home and like the savior of immigrants. We were founded by immigrants, and I don't think we should just then turn on them and, you know, treat them like aliens.
Please do something like spread awareness. Like, for example, as in walking out of school, that's going to get us the
look at this guy's hair. I'm impressed by the hair.
Most attention I'm pretty sure we'll ever get.
I just wanted for people to get...
Well, the funny thing is like we're raising awareness. Like, everyone knows. Like, who doesn't know about this shit right now?
Get together and show that we can agree on something and that what is going on right now is just wrong.
So there you go. That's the Cron, everybody. All right. So that's a little Houston story for you. If you watch the Super Bowl, did any commercials jump out? This one should have jumped out to you. Jesus Christ, this one's crazy. And I think the worst part about this commercial is what Ring is doing to make you feel okay with the fact that we live in a surveillance state. Did anyone see this commercial during the Super Bowl? This is the one that everyone should be paying attention to. Oh, boy. Why is this one muted? Oh, because it's on X. That's why. But this is, everybody, the Ring Super Bowl commercial that got a lot of backlash. And good. At least we're aware on this one.
This is Milo. Pets are family. But every year, 10 million go missing. And the way we look for them hasn't changed in years. Until now. One post of a dog's photo in the Ring app starts outdoor cameras looking for a match. Search Party from Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs. Since launch, more than a dog a day has been reunited with their family. Be a hero in your neighborhood with Search Party. Available to everyone for free right now. Join.
This is genius by Ring. Absolutely genius. They're going to use our love of dogs, bruh, to expand what they're looking for with their cameras. Now, I think the thing about Ring is you have to be subscribed to Ring to get features like this, and these features are not cheap for Ring on a monthly basis. But that commercial aired, and I think it's hilarious that the first 15 seconds to pull people in emotionally, hook, line, and sinker, is to show dogs and then signs for missing dogs, which are depressing. Every single time if I see a missing dog photo, I get sad. You don't get sad if you see one of those? Oh, man. The family's probably heartbroken looking for that dog. And dogs generally are nice. Some are poorly trained. And we never give owners shit for having poorly trained dogs. But I thought this was brilliant advertising by Ring. Thankfully, everyone saw right through it. Oh, my God, we're just going straight towards having a surveillance state. But this is how you do it. You convince people that it's for the dogs. People suck. Dogs. Little Fido, if he gets lost, what are you going to do? Dogs, bruh. What if your neighbor's dog? Oh, Houlihan. What if he gets out? What are you going to do? Dogs, bruh. And what's the next step of this? Are we going to maybe use these cameras to find neighbors that we don't like? This guy's up to no good. That's the next step. At what point is this technology as well that can determine what dog is missing? At what point is this technology going to be used to find specific people? It's only a matter of time. Depressing, no? Yes, a little bit. As far as the other commercials from the Super Bowl, your routine stuff. Personally, when it comes to the Super Bowl commercials, I think they suck. I mean, yeah, the Super Bowl is the, I guess, peak when it comes to American consumerism and all that shit. You're eating a shit ton of food to watch a football game with an awesome concert in the middle of it, and every single commercial that's airing is supposed to be the best commercial that you're going to see all year or something. I don't know. I don't watch for the commercials. I watch for the football. I will say I thought the commercials were better this year than they've been in years past. There were a couple that made me laugh, but there was a moment during the game where I was standing up and stretching because I was pacing a little bit. I'm the only person watching this game with a dog in the fight because I'm a Patriots fan. And there were a couple of people, friends of mine, I love them, who were like, hey, we're watching. And I'm like, it's fucking commercials. This game's about me. It's not about you. You're never going to be here. Your team's never going to be here. I'm not talking about the Texans, by the way. Your team's not going to be here. Not anytime soon. Oh, I'm standing in the way of the fucking commercial. And by the way, I think it was one of the mediocre commercials that was there. But there were commercials at the Super Bowl, everybody. So there you go. That's going to wrap up today's edition of the Gallant Says podcast. We do this Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central Time now. Paul, what are we going to talk about going forward? Well, we're probably going to open up shows going down the route that I went to open up this one. Oh, what does that mean? Well, I mean, what? You think I'm going to do an entire show dedicated to baseball, basketball? Would you want that? No. It's going to be a lot of football. There will be some baseball and basketball talk. It'll be Astros and Rockets specific, but we're going to do a lot of outside the box stuff. Since we're doing the show twice a week, we're going to have a little more time to get ready for those segments. And I'll be filling in from time to time on 610. I'm going to be on Thursday, 10 to 2, and Friday, 10 to 2 this week. And also most of next week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 10 to 2. It'll be me and Reggie. There are some other things percolating for me job-wise that hopefully will lead to me being gainfully employed. Different industry, which is one of the reasons I'm doing a little bit less of these. I've been focusing a lot on this show, and I'm sure there's a way that I can find sponsorship and advertising and stuff, but there is a certain point where the writing might be on the wall, and while I still think that I'm better than just about every single talent in this station in terms of, not this station, in this city. Paul, you can't even say city versus station, right? You're a fucking idiot. Fair. But, I mean, I don't think anyone can do all the things that I'm able to do. And yet, if I'm not getting employed where I'm dramatically overqualified compared to a lot of people with similar jobs in this town and across the country, then might be time to move towards something that can actually get me paid so I could theoretically have a family someday. But I appreciate everybody who tuned into today's show. Greg Todd said he would like some Cougs talk. We could do that. I mean, the thing with the Cougs that's frustrating is the Cougs are so much better than everyone in the Big 12. It's all about what they do in the tournament. Well, what am I supposed to say about the Cougs on a day-to-day basis? And here's the other thing, too. If we're talking about broad appeal, Cougs don't have it still, even though they are the best sports organization in town. Kelvin Sampson, Cougars basketball. Because the Rockets are struggling. I know they had the big win over the Thunder on Saturday, but there was no Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. How much am I supposed to put into that after the week that happened ahead of that? There's some interesting tidbits about the Houston Astros, of course, as we get closer and closer to spring training. We'll probably bring the countdown back and the bone. But we hope that you continue to tune into this show. Again, it's Mondays and Thursdays around 8 p.m. If you ever have a question, you can send an email to gallantsays@gmail.com. And again, gallantsays@gmail.com. You can also leave a voicemail or text message at 281-836-3912. Again, 281-836-3912. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. On Twitch at Gallant Says, give me a follow. I'd appreciate a sub. X, Twitter, a like and a follow at Gallant Says Pod. Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports, give me a like and follow. Instagram at Sports Gallant, a like and a follow. I don't know why I didn't broadcast on Instagram today. Apologies for that. TikTok at Gallant Says, and of course available after the fact in podcast form. Subscribe and 5-star me. Look for the Gallant Says podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Until Thursday at 8 p.m. Central, it's going to be a pre-recorded show this week because I have something to do on Thursday night. So long. Farewell.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.
And have yourself